Okay, welcome. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, wherever you are. I am Karen Kushner, and I am waiting for someone out there in the world to let me know that they can see and hear me. So it's a very exciting day today. We've got a special guest speaker from Richmond, Virginia, and a lot of practitioners in the room. A lot of really high consciousness is set, and so while you are here, realize that anything is possible because we're going to be knowing the truth. And Klee, thank you very much. You have won the prize of a special spiritual mind treatment from me, so just let me know what that's for. And Angela, so the two of you get that, so that's good. All right, so let me begin with a spiritual mind treatment. Okay, so this word is being spoken for each one. And if there is anyone or any place or any situation in this world that you would like to have included, just think of that name, that place, that situation right now, and realize that this word includes them, because there is only one mind, and that mind is omnipresent. That mind is everywhere and anywhere. And wherever there is aware, this mind is, because this mind is creating that space, creating that time. And so in this eternal now, this here and eternal now, all is known. In this infinite mind, all is known. This divine mind knows one. I am that I am. And this is its eternal self-knowingness. And this eternal self-knowingness produces and creates all that is. So with anything or everything that is, with each one that is, there is right now that divine mind thinking, I am that I am. And this is the cause of each one's existence. This is the cause of each one's experience. This is the cause of the environment, of the world, of the universe. It is the one first cause of all. And this is present right where each one is. And this word recognizes this one mind as the first and only cause. And this recognition, therefore, makes that which is the divine mind's thoughts manifest and demonstrate in a greater way, in a particular way, in, through, and as each one's experience. And so all of the thoughts and the beliefs that each one has in consciousness are decorating this infinite mind's one thought of itself. I am that I am. It knows I am life, love, peace, power, truth. I am harmony, order. I am unchanging newness. I am joy. This is the cause and the substance from which all is created. And so the substance and the nature of each one is these qualities. And so love is present. There is nothing missing. There is nothing lacking. And any belief in anyone that something is missing, something is lacking, or that something has been taken away is all erased, evaporated, and vanished. No creation of the divine can take away that which is the divine. And so that gift of life and all that it contains has not gone anywhere. This recognition of that truth reinstates in each one's experience a belief and an experience, a reality of all that has been given, all of the life, all of the love, all of the vitality, all of the joy, the wealth, the support. And out of this nature, this one changeless substance, everything in each one's world is created. And so the world that each one is living in is the world of each one's consciousness creating. And present always is that which the divine knows. And that divine is given the gift of life. And the gift of life absolutely is the gift of freedom. And so freedom to choose that which one thinks, believes, that which one puts in one's own consciousness, that which one chooses to experience. It is these beliefs that produce each one's experience in the world. And so right now, each one realizes that the world cannot hurt them. The world cannot affect them. And that the world, the full sum total of the population of Earth and all that has gone on before, none of it is first cause in anyone's life. And so each one now reclaims their freedom, reclaims that good that they have desired, reclaims every single spiritual idea that has blessed them and created wonderful experiences for them. Each and every one of those ideas are gifts from the divine, and they are present and cannot be taken away by anyone else. And so each one is now standing strong in claiming that which is theirs to experience greater good. And it is this one mind, the mind of the divine that knows all, that supports each one in their choices, so that with any choice that anyone has made of greater good, greater love, greater joy, greater freedom, greater happiness, greater health, greater prosperity, greater intelligence, with any choice that is for greater good, this one mind creates an environment that corresponds. So that each one is now claiming that right of first cause, and in his or her world is seeing created everything that is necessary to experience all the good that he or she desires to experience. Because that right exists by consciousness. And consciousness of God as first cause is all that is required to overrule, overturn, and erase anything that a belief in what the world might do might have created. And so each one is now claiming God as the source, God as the cause to his or her world, the cause to his or her experience, the cause to his or her money and wealth and prosperity, the cause to his or her life and vitality and youth and energy and goodness, the cause to each one's existence, and the cause to all that each one experiences in this existence. The cause creates the ways and the means, so that whatever the unique talents that have been given to each one to express, this one mind is creating the opportunities, the doors, the jobs, the social fads. It is creating everything to produce for each one a harmonious and happiness environment through which each one can express that unique nature that he or she has been created as being. So, all is good in the mind of God. I am that I am. This claim, each one is now inspired and impelled, compelled, and propelled to claim for him or herself. Each one is claiming that one with God is a complete majority, and that because the divine is love, love shall reign. Because freedom is a gift of life, freedom shall reign. And that whatever anyone requires to do anything that he or she is guided to do, it is provided. Just as an entire universe was provided to support the life expression that each one is, so too all of the ways and the means, and all of the technical, all of the governmental, all of the systems and operations, all of the companies and corporations, all of the people, all of the processes, all of the laws and all of the rules, all of it is a creation of the divine, And with each one's now claiming of I am that I am, the only thing that can be created is that which supports each one to express him or herself in love, in joy, in health, in freedom, in prosperous goodness in all ways. This is the way life is. Regardless of whether anyone's aware of it or not, or regardless of whether anyone is experiencing it or not. God is first, God is present, and what God is always there, and it is always seeking a way out. It is always seeking a way to express more of its nature in all created forms. That includes humanity, and that includes everything that humanity might come up with. Because without God, there is nothing. And without God, no human is creating anything. So, at the instigation and start of every new created form by any human being, there is God, the all-good, that is desiring to express more of itself, and this has not disappeared. This is the first cause. This is the cause motivating each person. It is good and all good that is omnipresent in each one here is now. Believing it more, seeing it more, experiencing it more, and having an expression of life that is easier, happier, healthier, more harmonious, more joyful, and certainly more peaceful than ever before. This is the truth. This is the way God has made itself in expression. There is no other way for God to be. And this is what each one is claiming now. And so I am grateful that this is the way that it is. I release this word to God's omnipotent, all-encompassing, all-knowing law. The law that's making the universe and every little bug that's in it. It is creating all that is the good, the beautiful, and the true for each one now. I am grateful it's so. I let it go. It's done, and so it is. Reverend Ritz.
Love is real. Real as love. Love is feeling. Feeling love. Love is wanting to be loved. Love is touch. Touch is love. Love is reaching. Reaching love. Love is real. You and me. Love is knowing we can be. Love is free. Free is love. Love is living. Living love. Love is needing to be loved. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
And so let's take a moment right now and exercise our freedom to choose by choosing that which we decide to open to this morning, this day, this life, So what is it that you want to open to? Decide what day you want to experience. And let's know that this service this morning is part of the activity supporting us in experiencing that which we have chosen.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
Okay, so I am Karen Kushner, and welcome Princeton visitors, CSL Princeton, and welcome Richmond visitors and all of you who are here. And we are going to have an absolutely wonderful day. I am welcoming all of us to our center, a center of love and a center that is always determined to reveal the truth that sets us free of believing in human problems. So that's where we stand, and we believe in it. So I have an announcement for those of you who are interested in our Tuesday evening class using the book This Thing Called You. Susan, our teacher, says that you may drop in the class if you are interested. And so for this coming Tuesday, the 28th, you can look at the book, This Thing Called Life. No, This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. This Thing Called You, chapter 8 in particular, if you want to prepare. And you could skim through that chapter and maybe focus on any spiritual mind treatment, any prayer that's in italics, to see what calls to you. But you don't have to do that if you don't want. So if you're interested in that, you could find the information to join it on our website, cslprinceton.org, or on our Facebook page. That's even better than our website. So our website page is CSL Princeton, for those of you who are in Richmond who don't know it, and you get the link for the Zoom meeting. It's all right there. You're good to go. Okay, so as part of my little welcome, I just share with you I report to you the progress of my spiritual practices that I've been doing as a result of our guidance that we've been receiving from Dr. Robert Bitzer. And a la Regina, who here, that was last week, right? Yes. You brought, okay. So last week, Regina brought all of her index cards. I think she brought 5 years worth, but she's got 25, I don't know, years worth. 2005 years. Since then, 2005 years. Sorry. You've got to excuse me. I'm all kerfluffled because we have a guest speaker. I'm so excited. But what she does and what you can do and what I've been doing is at the beginning of each day, make a decision about your day. What is it that you want to experience and expect it? So I've been writing it down on scratches of paper, not as formal as index cards, because I haven't got my act together to get it onto index cards. So I pretty much write on a scrap of paper, but it works. So every morning I will sit down, maybe not in the morning, by the time I get myself remembering the whole thing, it might be a little bit later, but I do, and I write down. One of my favorites is I am fully enjoying myself. Or I write down, I am happy with myself. I also have, a couple of weeks ago, we added a spiritual mind treatment on increasing our money, as Dr. Robert Bitzer recommends. And I've been doing that spiritual mind treatment for any of you who agree. So for those of you who are hearing this for the first time down there in Richmond, you can come on aboard anywhere, you just claim it. And so all you have to do is figure out how much money you have normally been receiving monthly. Figure what that is, and now increase it by $500. We want to manifest that increase as evidence that God can do anything, and that God can even affect our money. And so I have been doing a spiritual mind treatment that for each one is now receiving each month more than the amount that they have set, month after month. And that this additional money comes to each one in brand new avenues created by the divine that were previously unknown or unexpected, unplanned, maybe even unconventional. And that this is continuous and that this is occurring. And as each one receives this money, each one is aware that it's because of our spiritual mind treatment work, because we said so, because it's a gift of the divine, and the divine is all for it, just because. It's a fun thing. It's not, if you're desperate for money, do your desperate treatment separate. Because this is just for fun. This is just to prove. So I just want to share an experience I had this past week or the week before. I have always wanted to volunteer for certain activities on the planet. And several months ago, someone I know babbled. Oh, I know what it was. I said that I'm knitting this sweater because I want to get a ribbon at the county fair. That's why I'm knitting the sweater.
I think that's great.
Yes. Well, you'll hear about that after I get the ribbon, after I finish the sweater. So the person that I said it to said, I organize volunteers for the fair. I'm like, because I've always wanted to be someone who's volunteering at the county fair. Who knows why? So I said, sign me up, sign me up, sign me up. So I'm all joyously looking forward to that. And I reminded her about a week ago, and she said, okay, here's the contact, here's the information. And as I signed up, they had this little question. Would you like to be paid for this or receive a food voucher? Now, the good me, well, it's a volunteer and I don't want to take their money, and it's my contribution, and so that would be not right if I were to take money. And we're not talking about a lot of money. This is really for high school kids to work. The pay would buy me maybe a week of coffee. And so everything in me, in my thinking, was take the food voucher. And then I did this treatment. I'm like, uh-oh, unexpected, unplanned, unconventional, unknown. This is money the divine is trying to get to you. And one of the things that we need to realize when we're doing this kind of treatment, when money comes to you in any form, you don't say no to it unless you've got a really good reason. And so I was embarrassed to check pay me. But I'm asking the divine, I'm demanding the divine to open up all channels for me. It opened up this crazy channel. I was going to do it whether I was paid or not. I'm certainly not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I'm guided to do it. I think it's a joyful, fun thing to do, whatever. But God is giving me money. So there are some of the tasks as volunteers that you don't get paid. And so I told the coordinator, I said, look, put me wherever you need help. So I might not get put in the spot that actually get paid money. But if I do, I'm claiming the money because I'm claiming, see, we build our belief, right? So you're all listening to me build my belief. I'm building the belief that God created this avenue for me to experience and receive more money. It's not for me to scoff at because it's so little. And it's not for me to say no to because who do you think you are? Or as Ralph Waldo Emerson would say, because I believe it would be a good thing to do, and I want to be a good person. So I have a lot of deep breathing to do, and I hope that you all do, because as we grow in any expression of life in a greater way, it calls on us to have a greater clarity about that which is God, about that which is the source. So you can see how I have to get a little bit clearer, or a lot clearer, about God as the source of my good, of my money, and of this particular avenue versus what the human beings say. I need some more clarity. But see, that past lack of clarity worked as a way of blocking the flow of money and other good to me. I know that because I teach this stuff. And so I have to practice it myself. So please join if you like. Just say, I'm part of it, and feel free to send a Facebook comment if you have any questions, or go to our website and you can contact me through the website if you have a question about it, and I'll answer you. And if you exceed your $500, more than $500 this month, up at another $500. We're going to do it all summer. So let's see how much we get from God. Thank you, God. All right. Enough said with all that. Let's move forward. Reverend Rich, I think we need some music to think about all that.
You know, I chuckled because I used to go to a county fair in Maine every year. And I used to watch the blue ribbons being handed out, for animals, sheep, prize sheep, watermelon, whatever. And I always wanted one. And I never got a blue ribbon in my life.
They still have fairs.
So I left because I want a blue ribbon too. Everywhere I am is holy ground. I'm walking in love. Everywhere I am is holy ground. For the power and the presence of your spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy. Gentle, easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground. For I walk in joy. Everywhere I am is holy ground. For the power and the presence of your spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy, gentle, easy. Everywhere I am is holy ground. For I walk in peace. Everywhere I am is holy ground. For the power and the presence of your spirit makes my path gentle and easy. Gentle, easy. Gentle, easy.
Thank you, Reverend Rich. Good morning. My name is Mary Vercondi, and I'm the practitioner of the day. We've been talking about abundance, and I just want to share something from this little book I got from Unity. It's I'm going to read from an article written by Reverend Ellen Davenport. So, how can we trust our good will come to us? Is abundance really unlimited? And why on earth would we not embrace our good? Consider this from Lessons in Truth by H.M. Lake Cady, the first book Unity published in 1903. The quote, "One of the unerring truths in the universe, by universe I mean the spiritual and natural worlds combined, is that there is already provided a lavish abundance for every human want. In other words, the supply of every good always awaits the demand. Another truth is that the demand must be made before the supply can come forth to fill it. To recognize these two statements of truth and to affirm them are the whole secret of understanding faith, faith based on principle. End quote. We make the demand through prayer and affirmations, or what we call spiritual mind treatment, calling forth the abundance that is already provided. Good is already here, already available, even when we can't see it yet. Our belief and faith bring it into manifestation. Abundance can take many forms: love, health, and prosperity, along with letting go, giving thanks, or living your dreams. Allowing good into our lives may take practice, however. Sometimes we let gifts pile up against a closed door. Refusing our good is not deliberate, of course. It boils down to our thinking. Worry, fear, anger, and resentment can hold abundance at bay. Maybe we don't feel worthy to receive our good, or we embrace it in some areas but not others. One person might have no problem with finances, but always seem unlucky in love. Another has a harmonious family, but struggles with health. Believing we don't deserve the best in every area of life may need to be examined. Chances are, I'll take out the chances part, nothing and no one keeps our good from us except our own thinking. Expecting and embracing our good does not make us selfish or entitled. It aligns us with the universal principle. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore wrote in the Myrtle Fillmore Healing Letters, quote, "It is God's will for all his children to have abundance. And it is our privilege to think this truth and declare it and expect it to be provided in our lives. This is our method of prayer, acknowledging our oneness with God, claiming the ability that this gives, and expecting to have the good things needed and conducive to spiritual progress." End quote. Developing our inner resources will naturally result in more abundance as we become more alive. Embracing our good, then, is a spiritual practice. It is taking our rightful place in the divine realm. With prayer, affirmation, and positive thinking, we manifest the good that surrounds us in the universe. Your good isn't sent to you from somewhere else like an Amazon package. It is already yours, already available, waiting for you to simply open your heart and mind to receive it. Embrace your unlimited good. And so this sometimes becomes a hard thing to practice. So I want to share a little exercise that I've been doing for the past week. So if you all would sit or stand up tall in your chair if you're able. Imagine a string at the top of your head pulling your spine up straight. Right? So you're supported from the top, your body is relaxed. Now, this takes some hand movements too, so you can watch for a minute, and then if you want to close your eyes, you can. So we're going to gather all of the good that is within us and bring it up to our heart level. And then we're going to offer it out to the world. And then we're going to gather all the good that already surrounds us and bring it into our heart. And then let it settle into us. And we're going to do this with our breath. So gather what is in you on the inhale and bring it to your heart. And on the exhale, offer it to the world. And on the inhale, gather what is around you, bring it to your heart, and allow it to settle. And again, inhale, gathering what is good, and exhale, offering it to the world. And gather what is around you on the inhale, and bring it into your heart, and allow it to settle. Just continue to breathe, inhaling and bring it to your heart, exhaling, giving it out to the world. Inhaling what is around you, bringing it to your heart, and allowing it to settle within you. Just continue that breath. And remember that all the good is always within you and around you. All you need to do is to claim it. And it's not only claiming it, giving and receiving are two parts of the same thing. So we have it within us and we offer it to the world. And it is around us and we take it in and receive it. Just continue to breathe. Whatever it is that you wish to experience as your good. And as you come to the last breath, just allow your hands to settle in your lap. And just know that everything is always available to you. So I speak these words for everyone who is listening. There's an abundance in the universe which is unlimited, for it is all God. All things are made from the same spiritual substance, which is unlimited, always available. It can be made into many, many things, just from the thoughts of God. And the divine is creating, continually, increasing good, more and more for everyone. And everyone listening to this word is a part of that divine creation. And the divine has not just created us, but the divine supports each one of its creations. So everything that each one needs to thrive, to survive, is already provided. Each one experiences joy, love, life, health, creativity, expression in this world. Anything which is needed for that expression is already provided. And each one claims their good. Each one claims it, and each one expects it, and each one is open to receiving it. Each one knows that they are a part of the divine. They are fully supported, fully loved, surrounded, and guided in all things that they do. I'm grateful for this truth, and release it to the loving law, knowing it is so. And so it is.
So this is a tune written by one of my musical heroes, and I wanted to do it for a long time. And I spent yesterday trying to learn it. The dog said, please stop learning that song over and over again. So I apologize to the writer of this tune because he is one of my heroes, and he's an amazing musician, amazing songwriter, and just an incredible human being. So, good morning, evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer of serious news that's on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster, could change your joy and laughter, tears and pain. There's love in me, of love today. Ooh, don't delay, send yours in right away. It's going round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. The force of evil plans to make you its possession, it will, if you let it, destroy everybody. We all must take precautionary measures. If love and peace you treasure, you'll hear me when I say it's that love in me, of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. It's going round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. love in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hate's going round, breaking many homes. Stop it please, before it's gone too far.
Wow. All right. Okay. All right. So that was good. Thank you, Reverend Rich. That's a good song.
Cooked yet, but it's
It's getting there. I think it's kind of here. I think it's kind of arrived. Okay, so that's good. And thank you, Mary. I've got another spiritual practice. I love this one, especially the, I don't know if you were able to see it, but, you bring it up, and then you give it out, and then you take it all in, and then you let it settle. Because I think what I might do is, bring it all in and then, gulp it down instead of, settle it. So I'm adding it to my list. Thank you very much. Well, it's time for me to stop talking and introduce our guest speaker. I guess I have to talk while I do that. He is a ministerial student who contacted us via our website saying, "Are you interested in having a speaker?" So I went to his YouTube videos of the talks that he gave right away. Now see, this is consciousness, because I get these kinds of queries all different ways, and usually I'm way too overwhelmed to deal with it, and I put it in a special folder, and it could be buried there for years. But it came right in. I was there. I'm like, let's listen to it while I'm doing some work at the office. So I started listening to his first talk. It was fuzzy, out of focus. I had to stop working. I had to sit down and get my pen. I got to listen to this guy. He's saying something I never heard before. So that got, and what he was saying was talking about truth. So, of course, we've invited him. We finally got it arranged. He's here. He's a ministerial student, as I said, and he's with the CSL Metro with Reverend Trish Hall. And several of us have been down to her retreats there, so we know her well and her community very well. And if you would like to reach him, I'll post it in our notes. But his website is breakinggenerationalcurses.com. with hyphens in between. So it's breaking-generational-curses.com. And I'll put that in our notes there on Facebook Live so that you can get there, and you'll get his YouTube videos, and it's just an exciting place to be. So speaking on developing your power of visualization, it's my pleasure to introduce you all to Jason Mohammed.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me today. It's good to be back here in New Jersey. I actually went to elementary school here when I was a kid. I lived down in Atlantic City. So, not this nice area up here, but the nice area down there. And thank you, Reverend, for opening up your pulpit to me. And thank you, Tamika, for making the drive up here with me. I appreciate that. So, why am I here? I am here because I would like to allow Spirit to guide me on this journey that I'm on. This is a new era in my life. I had a career in corporate America, I still do. And now Spirit is calling me into ministry, and now I'm looking for Spirit. I know Spirit is guiding me where I need to go. So these opportunities to meet different folks around the East Coast and eventually around the country, I believe Spirit is going to help me deepen an understanding of what I should be doing with this ministry. Most of my talks have been in the area of breaking generational curses. And that's kind of what I'll talk about today. Now, many of us know there's no such thing as a curse, but it's a popular term that we mostly hear from the traditional church. And I'll explain as we go through this why I use that term. But specifically, I'd like to talk about visualization. It's something that I came across very early and I began to understand the power of it, but I came to it through traditional religion. Now, when I say traditional religion, many times people think, the church, right? My background, I did spend time in the church, but a lot of my background was spent in Islam. However, many of the aspects of fundamental religion are still the same. And I'd like to share with you my journey about understanding visualization and how I got to where I am today to be like you, to sit here in these seats, to go through these teachings, to find something that can take my life to the next level. In the first part of my journey with traditional religion, I was a really young father, and I wanted to use faith as a way to be a good guide for my family based on how I was taught. But along with being a good guide, I was really interested also in being able to feed them, clothe them, and keep a roof over their head. I found that to be really important aspect of that job. And turning to my faith, the way to do that was, of course, through a lot of prayer, fasting. But when I say prayer, I mean pleading. Oh God, please, show me the way. A lot of praying, 5 times a day, getting up early in the morning, that type of thing. And that's nothing wrong with that. However, my experiences with that weren't all positive, and I didn't understand why those prayers were not necessarily answered, or at least not answered as quickly as I'd like them to be. And then the other part was fasting, and I was an expert at fasting. 24-hour fast, no problem. 48-hour fast, no problem. 72-hour fast, I got that. You know what the secret is to being able to fast like that? Being broke. It makes it so easy to stick to your fast. But on this journey, and when I say young, I'm talking really young. I got married my first marriage, I was 17 years old. And so I'm really trying to figure things out, but we're all at that point, right? When you're becoming an adult, you're trying to figure life out, and it's a frustrating thing. There's no manual for it. But I remember just leaving the house one night. I just wanted to go be in tears, and I just didn't want my wife to see me. And I walked out to these mountains. So this is about 30 years ago. So Las Vegas, where I was living at the time, there are mountains, obviously, that surround Las Vegas. But the city ended. All that construction you see nowadays, none of that existed. It was just nothing out there, desert and mountains. And I just went walking out there. There's mountain lions out there and there's coyotes. I just didn't even think about it. Not a smart thing to do. But I was just in pain. And I wanted to go out there and pray and plead and all those other things and do that by myself. And I began to feel that God's grace and God's love was arbitrary. I'll give it to you when I feel like it. Maybe you didn't pray the right way. You didn't say the words the right way. Maybe if you learn to say your prayers in Arabic, maybe then they'll be answered. Just all kinds of things that came through my mind. And some of us may have a similar experience in our respective faith traditions that we grew up in. Am I doing this right? Why is God not responding to me? And for me at least, it felt like I had to be a perfect person. I needed to follow every scripture. I needed to make sure that I did everything to the T, and it was really debilitating. You want to bring or have God in your life. You want to be a quote-unquote righteous person. You want to do right. You want to express right. But it became so hard. Like, how do you actually do this? But in that process, I did gain a basic understanding of visualization. Walking through those mountains, I was able to think about, well, this is what I actually want. And I was able to see it and see it very clearly. And these were not grand goals. It wasn't a beautiful home and a nice car. It was, I want to make sure I pay the rent at the beginning of the month. I want to make sure the utilities are paid and that my children have the things that they needed. And at least it was good from that perspective. And it also led me to the second part of my journey. In the second part of my journey, it took me to what we call self-help. Over a few months, I eventually got a job. It was selling cars. And I remember going on a break to a bookstore, and I think I found a Brian Tracy book or something. And I read it, and it really ignited something in me, or rather reignited. When I was about 14 years old, I was in some summer program in Atlanta, and a motivational speaker came in, and they shared these truth principles. But as you know, with self-help, it's very surface level. It doesn't really get down into what is behind these techniques. But it did take me far. It helped me to expand this idea of what visualization is. It helped me to eventually complete college and go to grad school and build a career and do these wonderful things. But I hit a wall spiritually. These techniques are great, but what's behind them? And how do you use them effectively? And I found it to be very hit or miss. Self-help was like a Yugo. Anybody remember Yugos? Yeah, Yugo, I stay. So for all those who are listening and you're not familiar with that, Google it. It's hilarious. It's a car, kind of, and it'll get you where you want to go sometimes, but not very fast. And that's how I felt with self-help. But it did take me far enough to the next stage in my journey, and I'm a bit older at this point. And my children were leaving the house. One went off to the military, one went off to college. And in that part of my journey, I happened to visit a CSL in Pasadena. It's called Ahaya. And it felt right, and I felt complete there. Just like when I came here today, and I just felt right and complete because I know I'm around those with that same energy. And I said, these are my people right here. I can feel that energy. I can learn something here. And I began to feel unstuck. So where traditional religious understanding was more hit or miss, here I was able to learn much more understanding about the truth behind what I read in Scripture. And where self-help and pop psychology books provided lots of techniques, I found them to also be very limiting as well. And all in all, what I felt is that they were creating a pattern of pain. I felt like through incorrect thinking and incorrect being and uninspired vision, I just kept running in circles, using these techniques and not understanding why they worked sometimes and why they did not. So going directly into this concept of visualization, my question to you is, what do you use visualization for? Anyone?
To manifest what you want your life to be.
That's right. To manifest what you want your life to be. You want to experience some kind of condition. You want something. And in traditional religion, what do they teach us? And it doesn't matter which religion. They teach us to pray this way, right? They teach us to say these words, go to this place, to do this, and to don't do that. A lot of don't do that's. And if you do all the things that pleases God, that you can't see, the invisible mystery God, then you might get blessed. I might grant you whatever it is that you're asking for. And self-help was a little bit better, where it says that say these words, and then, if you do these practices, then the universe will open up to you because of the law of attraction. Without explaining what the law of attraction is, of course, right? So I began here to understand the true meaning behind many of the scriptures that I was reading and many of these techniques that I was learning. That verse in the Bible, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. I was beginning to understand that through understanding scripture correctly, we're able to see ourselves correctly and submit to our own visions. Not a God far off somewhere, but the God within ourselves. I began to understand that by developing the correct feeling and emotion behind what you truly desire in life, understanding that feeling within you is God acting through you, that you are able to follow your own unique path. And that you are to be, to accept that you are, not become, but you already are. You are being your best self. Now that was a revelation for me. It was a revelation because God wasn't in some far off place. God was here within me now. So when I'm visualizing, I'm not visualizing just for a home or just for a car. I'm visualizing to express God through me, in me, as me, which is a different thing. It's not just about getting something material. It's about manifesting your God power. It's about showing the power of God here on earth manifesting through you. That is glorifying God when you manifest things. Some people look at it and say, you know what, that's really materialistic. What did God put us here for in the material universe? So that on this plane, we can manifest things. But when we manifest things on this material plane, it starts on the spiritual plane, right?
Yes.
We have to have spirit act in us and through us as us. What are the keys to being very successful when it comes to visualization? There are 3 that I'm going to identify for you. And the first one, and if you listen to Neville, this will sound familiar to you. It's feeling. It is one of the major keys. Getting that feeling back of the thing that you truly desire. Why feeling? Because feeling is going to trigger memories. Feeling triggers imagery within you. Of course, many of us have learned that our brains do not know the difference between what we are imagining and what really happened. Many of us have heard that, correct? Yeah. And we know that when we think of something with a lot of energy, that thing can come to pass. Some of us have had traumas in our lives. Growing up, traumas in marriage, traumas in war, and you can think about those traumas and you can experience them again. You can feel what it felt like to be in that situation at that time, what the smells were around you, what the sounds were around you, what people were saying and how you were feeling at that moment. You can break out in sweat or break out in laughter depending on the situation because your brain doesn't know the difference. This is the reason why many times we get the exact opposite of what we want in life. Because of this same thing, this feeling. If you talk to many young people, I have 2 young adults, and we've had conversations about things like buying a home. And if you've been in the same situation talking to young adults, or you yourselves are thinking about buying your first home, and you're looking at the home prices in Jersey, in New York City, in the suburbs of Chicago, right? Los Angeles. It looks insurmountable. And so the young people will create their vision boards and their affirmations, and they'll have their pictures of their beautiful home that they want, and they'll create the image in their mind of what they want. But immediately they start developing this soap opera, this telenovela in their minds, where they start thinking about, well, if this doesn't work, here's plan B, C, D, E, and F. And this is the reason why it won't work. They start thinking immediately about why their vision will not come to pass. And they're doing that with feeling. Unbeknownst to them, they're putting more energy behind the negative feelings and negative emotions than feeling behind the emotions that will bring them the home that they want. Now let's think about those who are soon to retire. We've all seen the news. We've all seen the stock market recently, right? Kind of hard not to look at that, right? It's a train wreck, hard to look away, right? And so what are we doing? We're thinking about, well, I want to buy that home in Florida. I want to buy that home in Panama or wherever. How am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish this? And you create your vision board, and you create your affirmations, and you have the pictures of where you want to live and what you want to do and how you're going to volunteer. And then immediately you start thinking about why it's not possible and putting energy behind how it's insurmountable, and start giving evidence, false evidence, to why your vision will not come to pass. You have all these tools in front of you and they're falling flat. Your affirmations and your vision boards. Why? Because we're creating this negative soap opera in our minds so that these things do not come to pass. We're putting more energy behind that. I want to give you a story as well about how feeling with your visualization is so effective. And I'm going to take you back to my youth to do that. When I was young, I used to think about, excuse me, I'm still young. What I meant to say, when I was younger, I used to think about getting tickets all the time. I got a ticket one time, I think I was 16 or 17, and I had to pay that off. And it was, to me, it was a huge amount of money. I don't know, it was probably like $100. But it was a huge amount of money to me. And I was just terrified of getting tickets. And all I thought about was, I got to avoid getting tickets. All my brain heard was tickets. That's all it heard. I would do elaborate routes going through side streets to get from my house to my job, just to make sure I avoid the little traps I know where motorcycle cops were in Vegas. And I would, zigzag, because all on my mind was no tickets, no tickets, no tickets. So what happened to me eventually? I got more tickets. In fact, I got lots of tickets. Lots and lots and lots of tickets. And I couldn't pay any of them. And I finally got a summons, and the judge, come on in, we need to talk. So I go down, and I get before the judge, and, she's asking me questions about how come I haven't paid these tickets. And, short story, Your Honor, I'm broke. I can't pay those tickets. Okay, no problem. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you to lockup for 7 weeks, and that will pay for your tickets. You talk to me? Yeah, you. I'm terrified. Terrified. I've never been in a situation like that before. To go into a jail, right? That's terrifying to me. And so eventually I go in. I have to go in and get rid of my ticket. So I go down to turn myself in. And so you go in and they process you and all this other kind of stuff. And I was told, hey, we're crowded here in Clark County. And so, you're not going to go into this area where we put people who have traffic tickets and didn't pay them. We kind of got to mix people all together. And I didn't know what that meant, but I found out very quickly.
Oh my God.
So by the time as I got to my little room, I'm calling it a room, but it's a cell, right? When I got there, they put 4 people in there. There's usually 2 in there, but they put 4 people in there. One of them, he was about my age. So as myself, there's 1 white guy and 3 black guys. And he had white power tattooed on his arms. So I was absolutely sure I was not the only terrified person in that room at that moment. And then the other 2 guys in there with me, one of them was in there for pandering. Anyone know what that means? Okay, that's a technical term for being a pimp. How do I know that? Because he told me. He gave me stories that I didn't want to hear, but I had to because I'm going to be polite to this person. I was 155 pounds soaking wet. And then finally, the last gentleman in there, he was very quiet. He was a little bit older than everyone else there. He didn't talk too much, but he was really pretty friendly. And we're there, a couple weeks go by, we're sitting down, we're eating lunch, and I'm not having any problems. I'm kind of relaxed now. And I found out why he was there. So this is a true story, guys. Up on the wall, on the TV, they are talking about the fact that he was apprehended, the guy who's sitting right in front of me eating lunch, for a quadruple homicide. He was waiting extradition. So I share this story with you to tell you and to prove to you that visualization with feeling works. It works. It is flawless. I also share that story with you to tell you that in those 30 years since, I have never had an unpaid traffic ticket ever again. You got to be careful with those elaborate mental stories. When we're thinking about what we want in our lives, that elaborate mental story can take a left-hand turn very quickly. Our thoughts, which we thought were visualization, turn into fantasies. And we start thinking about all of the things that can go wrong. And that's why I recommend a particular way to visualize. You can choose to use it. And it's to visualize one miraculous moment. I want you to think about this for a second. You want a brand new home. Instead of visualizing the entire process, you just visualize you receiving the keys. They're being put in your hand. And you do it in the first person. You're not looking from a far off place, seeing yourself receive the keys. Instead, you're in your body, seeing yourself receive the keys. You can feel the weight of them in your hands. Possibly it could be you shaking the hand of someone when you receive a promotion and you feel your hand pressing theirs. It could be marriage, and you can visualize yourself kissing your spouse at the altar. Visualizing yourself in that one miraculous moment. Why? One miraculous moment? Because it leaves no room for dispute. There's no plan A, B, C, or D. There's no what if this happens. You're just visualizing the end result. This one thing that encompasses everything that you desire. It's a very quick movie. It didn't work well for the internet. They had Quibbly, the little app thing that came out. That didn't work, but it works really great for your mind when you visualize one miraculous moment. And that leads me to step number 2, or key number 2, which is sleep. An important but overlooked aspect. The best time to do this, I believe, is before you go to sleep. Right before you go to sleep, when that wall between your conscious and subconscious mind is very thin and very impressionable. Right before you go to sleep, you visualize that one miraculous moment. You visualize that signing of a contract that you desire to do business with some large company or government agency. You visualize actually sitting in the seat of your Rolls Royce. You actually visualize buying your brand new home in some far off beautiful country. And you visualize that one miraculous moment related to that. There's another time that you can do this as well, and it's when you wake up in the morning. However, I don't recommend it. And here's the reason why. When we wake up in the morning, not only are we thinking about our one miraculous moment, but we can also be thinking about all the stuff we got to do for the day. I have to do this for my parents. I have to do this for my children. I have to do this for my spouse. I have to go grocery shopping. I have to go pick up this from the cleaners. I have this for this organization I volunteer for. And now your mind has 10,000 things, and you're trying to visualize your one miraculous moment. So by doing it before you go to bed, before you shut down, you give yourself time. And then when you're sleeping, you allow that subconscious mind to begin processing and working on that. That subconscious mind, which we know is the mind of God operating through us, to do its thing. And while we're asleep, we can't interfere with it. We can plant that seed without trying to dig it up to see if it made any progress. We can go ahead and plant that seed with that one miraculous moment so that it can begin its work. And the third key, which is often overlooked, it's actually one of the most overlooked of all spiritual practices, in my opinion. However, it is the one thing that every religion on this planet agrees on. What is it? Prayer? Faith? Okay. Bingo. Tithing. That's right, tithing. That is the one thing that every faith agrees on. Why? It's not a money thing. There's power behind tithing. There's power behind giving. It supports the activities of your visualization. As a matter of fact, the ancient Hebrews used to give 10% of their crops and their livestock to the temple. They didn't worry about, well, what is the temple going to do with the crops and the livestock? Once you give, that act of giving, that's your spiritual act. You're done. That's your part. Your part's over. You don't worry about what they do with that. Of course, they need to take care of the temple, and they'll slaughter the livestock for a feast or something, and give food to the poor, or whatever the case is. But your job is done once you do the act of giving. Now, I don't know why it's 10%, but one thing I can tell you this. The math is easy. You don't need to figure that out. I have X amount, and 10% of that is this. I'm going to get that. Very easy for us to do. And where should you do that? Wherever you get your spiritual food. Go ahead and make sure that you are giving that percentage to support your spiritual activities. But why? Why do I need to give? Why? Well, when we give and give with faith, it's the fastest way to demonstrate have. You're sitting there praying for physical things on the physical realm, well, demonstrate that you have. Go ahead and give. It's a spiritual act to give. Also, when you demonstrate, you're also demonstrating that you've already achieved. You are demonstrate being. I can give this because I've already achieved. And that's where the act of giving comes in. And I want to demonstrate that, or it's actually demonstrated actually within Scripture. So in Matthew 7:7, it says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. What does that mean? Well, it seems really self-explanatory, right, if you read through it, right? But I want to break it down just a little bit. Ask and it will be given to you. That takes us to feeling. That's what that's talking about. So in your mind, in the depths of your being, through your emotions and your feelings, your visualization, seeing what you want, knowing that it is true, knowing that it is yours, doing that with emotion and feeling, knowing that you have secured it, then that is the process of asking, and it will be given unto you. Seek and you will find. That is the process of going to sleep. Why? Because once you already plan into the mind that what you desire, and you going into the sleep state, the brain is automatically working, or rather the subconscious mind or God within you is already working to make it happen. And then finally, knock, and the door will be open to you. Everyone take out your arm, take your arm, right or left, and do this. That is a knocking motion. All right, so how did we exactly do this knocking motion? Well, if you come from a medical background, you might say, well, the brain is sending signals to your nervous system and it's telling your arm and your muscles to do this. Yes, but what told your brain to do that? The spirit within you. Your mind which is not in your body. It is the Spirit of God. It is the real you. So as we are moving our arms in a physical motion, that started from a spiritual beginning. The simple act of walking from your car to here started from a spiritual thought. You getting up in the morning, I'm going to go to CSL Princeton. Well, the act of giving starts as a spiritual thought. It starts there in the mind of God, and then you are giving. You're completing that circle by doing that physical action. That is the meaning, or one meaning behind that scripture in Matthew 7:7. Now, I'll leave you with a few things. When you are creating your affirmations, I want you to select 1 to 3 words that generate this type of emotion. I want you to get the feeling of the state fulfilled and visualize that one miraculous moment, that one moment that demonstrates that you have achieved, that you are already there, so that you do not develop or create that soap opera in your mind of everything that could possibly go wrong. Visualizing receiving the keys to a home, opening up an email with an approval, shaking the hands of someone while you're receiving an award. Doing this in the first person, not as an observer, in the first person, seeing through your own eyes. It is an important act that you do that. To do it in the first person, so that your mind knows this is you today, now, completing this act. The Buddha says, no one saves us but ourselves. No one and no one may. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk this path. When you're building your vision board, leave a 1 to 2 inch border around those wonderful pictures that you're creating. Writing one word or short phrases around it to evoke emotional response. So as you are looking at it, you are thinking about your one miraculous moment. You are visualizing the completion of the thing that you truly desire. By going through this process, it will heighten and add power to this particular spiritual practice. So I'll conclude with this. Remember 3 things. Feeling. Visualizing that one miraculous moment with deep feeling, deep emotion, charged emotion. When we sleep, before we go to bed, to visualize that one miraculous moment so that it is present or planted into the garden of our subconscious minds. And finally, giving, because you have the feeling of the thing now. Give because you can demonstrate not tomorrow, but you can demonstrate now, not the next day, but now. And give because you have the faith as God as you. And so ends the lesson.
took away tithing. We thank you in advance for the goodness that we share. It's our faith that lets us know the truth of this statement. We thank you from the place of perfect expectation, for with our right thought, our needs are fulfilled. In the giving is the gift for the giving and receiver. Tithing is the key that lets our blessings flow. We recognize the source of our bounty and abundance. We release these words of praise into the Lord. We thank you in advance for the goodness that we share. It's our faith that lets us know the truth of this statement. We thank you from a place of perfect expectation, for with our right thought, our needs are fulfilled. And the giving is the gift for the giving and receiver. Tithing is the key that lets our blessings flow. As we return the source of our bounty and abundance, we release these words of praise into the Lord. And so it is.
All right. So, aren't I good? Oh, thank you so much, Jason. I manifested him. Oh, yeah. So, I'm adding to my list of spiritual practices, visualizing that one perfect moment. I'm going to start tonight. I'm going to visualize my sweater at the county fair with a blue ribbon on it. And Reverend Rich David wanted to know if was it the Freiburg Fair in Maine?
No,
No.
it was Blue Hill Fair.
No, Blue Hill. Okay, so all those Maine guys need to get together. All right, so lots of inspiration, lots of newness, lots of great ideas to think about here. But let's take a moment and appreciate all the life that's been given us as I do a special spiritual mind treatment. Actually, Jason, would you like to do a spiritual mind treatment?
Sure.
Allowing ourselves to relax in our godliness, allowing ourselves to remember that we are one with this infinite creator in us, through us, and around us, knowing that we are one with this universal power, grateful that we have the opportunity on this plane to express God through us. We are truly and truly grateful and thankful for this opportunity every single day. And it shows in the people who we encounter as we move through our lives each and every day. We are grateful for this. I release my word knowing that it does not return void, and relax into that and let it go. And so it is.
So it is.
You can reach us at cslprinceton.org if you want to email me a special message, so please feel free to do that. And I guess, Richmond, you know how to get a hold of Jason. Okay, and goodbye, CSL Princeton. And Craig, good to see you from Thailand. Angela, Tina, thank you, thank you. And Angel, good to see you. Robert, great. Oh, Raul, awesome, great to see you. Da, 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 da. I've said, oh, okay, goodbye. See you next week. Bye-bye.